I know that I'm very good at finding talented people, bringing them together, working together, creating culture and community. Like, none of my success is my success. My success is a culmination of all the people that I surround myself with. And I'm not the only one succeeding.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Gordon, your host on Realizations, the podcast about everything real estate. Today, I'm really happy to have Nick Waldner with me from the Baltimore area. I'm wanting to talk a little bit about why I do what I do so that he hears it and you hear it. I started this podcast because of the NAR DOJ lawsuits. I felt like realtors were not being respected as a profession. I feel like we have this reputation of being like used car salesmen out in the world, and that we're just money grubbing jerks, basically. And it really disturbed me profoundly because that's not how I view real estate at all. So I thought I could be really angry about a bunch of people that don't know anything about real estate and, legislating around what we do. Or I could form a podcast to educate the American people about the different things that happen in real estate, what's involved, the vendors we deal with, how we affect cities, the economy of the area that we live in, all the service that we do provide to our communities, the charitable inclinations that we have, all of that, and the number of people that we intersect with on a regular basis, and the number of vendors that we support with the work that we do. So, Nick, with all of that, welcome to my little show.
All
Thank
right,
you.
we're saving the real estate industry one interview at a time. I like it.
Exactly, that's the whole point. So you are at least a 25-year veteran of real estate, and you are the head of the number one team at Keller Williams in Washington, D.C., which is no small feat. And what I've heard from you about your numbers, they're off the chart. You had a month last month where you had over 1 million in GCI for your whole team. You have
Yep.
16 people on your team. Your average price points are 547,000, which, to give you an idea of the differential between our areas, the average price points in the neighborhood that I sell in is 1.2 million, and my own average price point is about 1,500,000. So your team is unbelievably successful, unbelievably prolific. You mentor all of them. What keeps you enthralled by real estate? Why do you love what you do so much?
That's a good question. I think when I first got into real estate, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Um,
Everybody reads that book.
it's one of the best books if you've never read it, or if you have a child who's 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, that's a book to put in their hands and get them to start looking at life differently. I think we choose an occupation to make money, and
Mhm.
that money, what we do with that money is going to change the trajectory of our life. It could be I spend it on an expensive car and a big house and a lifestyle, or I use that to buy investments and create more freedom for myself. And that's something that I've always taught my kids. I've got 3 little ones, and we talked today at 3, 5, and 8 about buying your freedom and how whatever job you have, the income is used to create freedom.
That's amazing. 3 years old, 5 years old, and 8 years old, and you're telling them. It reminds me when I was a kid, my dad was a Buddhist, and I remember him sitting me down when I was like 5 years old, talking to me about the nullification of desire and expectation. I totally remember that conversation. I had no idea what he was talking about, but I was very serious about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway.
I think that's a struggle that we've had as a lot of us grew up thinking money is bad or that it's
Mhm.
evil, or if you make a lot of money, there's something wrong and it's a bad thing. And it's actually the opposite. Money is neither good nor bad. In fact,
Exactly. It's a tool.
money is good for the good it can do. You could have
Hmm.
somebody who is evil or bad or has malintentions make a lot of money, and they will amplify who they are. And you have
Right.
somebody who's giving and charitable and wants to help others, and that person is the exact same person making money, but it changes them in a totally different way. So
Yeah.
money's neither good or bad. It's how we use it and the tool that we use it for that makes all the difference.
I completely agree with you. One of my big charities that I work for is the Berkeley Humane Society. And about 5 years ago, through real estate, I was able to raise over $400,000 for them. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I weren't a realtor. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I weren't financially secure and capable in what I was doing. I think financial literacy is a it's a very controversial topic in a lot of ways, and it's not taught to our kids. Obviously, you're teaching your kids about it, but for the most part, people don't understand. And a lot of realtors get sucked in with,
With a lifestyle.
beguiled by the commission checks and not realizing that you have to save for a rainy day, you have to save for an economic downturn, and you also need to figure out what's actually important because honestly, buying one more chair from West Elm isn't going to do it for you at the end of the day,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, most people don't understand when a commission check comes in the door, you've got 37 to 40% of it going to taxes right away. So all of a sudden that big commission check gets much smaller fast. And then you start
Mhm.
paying for expenses and everything else. If your living expenses are too high, one downturn in the market could change your entire life.
Destroy you. Or if you become too niche in your work as a realtor, you could also be destroyed by that. I knew ladies in the 2008 downturn who were very, very luxury oriented. Well, luxury money, when the market is really terrible, those people have enough money and enough staying power that they'll just sit on their houses until it's ready to sell. So those ladies were like getting very, very poor during that time
Yep.
period, unable to sustain the lifestyle that they had created for themselves. I've always been very, very egalitarian about the way in which I do work. Like, for example, 2 years ago, some former clients of mine, her father was an optician, and he had an optician's office in downtown Oakland. And I sold that for them for $239,000. And I treated that just the same way I would if it had been a $2.3 million house. It seems to me that if you don't get elitist around what you're doing, then you'll fare well. And because you'll be able to flip from buyers to sellers and sellers to buyers and lower end to higher end, depending on the economic pressures that are on you. Yeah. So when you are working out in the community, what are the things that you notice being a Baltimore realtor that is probably different than any place else in the world?
I think that's probably the mistake that people make. They think that somehow people are different in their city, in their area, in their market. And the truth is, I've taught real estate agents and attorneys and title attorneys and everything in between. So everything in that real estate world or real estate adjacent. And every single city I go to, I always hear, well, that wouldn't work in my market. Well, it's different here because, well, our people are different. And guys, we're all humans. We're all watching the same TV. We're all on
Yeah.
Amazon. We're all doing the same thing. You can go to anywhere America, and that high school kid is striving for the same thing as any other kid in any other high school in America. And yet we somehow think we're some different or special or our market is different. And the truth is, it's not. People want someone they can trust. They want someone that they know is going to handle their transaction with care, is going to take care of them, is going to remove the stress, is going to be efficient. Like all the same things in every single business. That's what the clients want. And it doesn't change from market to market. And I think when you realize that and you understand that simplicity, when you break it all down to the simplest form, everybody wants the same things no matter where they are in the market. So can you
Mhm.
deliver on those essential things? And if you can be very successful. And that's in any business. Think about a
Right.
restaurant.
Right.
You wouldn't go into a restaurant that had poor service or poor food or didn't give back to the community or didn't in some way help others. Like you would avoid that place. So
Right.
we tend to think we're different. We're not. We're all the same.
Okay. Okay. And well, but you've been incredibly successful in your business and probably a lot more successful than a lot of other people in your business in your area. What do you think is your quote unquote special sauce that makes you different?
Yeah, I think that's easy and it's really simple. It's not me. I think we give too much credit to ourselves when something goes wrong, and then we point the finger at everybody else when something isn't going right. I know that I'm very good at finding talented people, bringing them together, working together, creating culture and community. Like none of my success is my success. My success is a culmination of all the people that I surround myself with. And I'm not the only one succeeding. This was in my journal and in my goals probably 5 years ago. I decided, you know what? I want someone on my team to make $1 million, to
Mhm.
net $1 million in real estate income. What would that look like? How would I have to show up as a leader to train
Mhm.
and teach somebody to get it's actually written, I need 5 of these, but this will be the first year that I have my first one. So my first agent on the team in my business will make over $1 million. And if I build a world big enough where people can achieve their dreams, then there's no need for them to go anywhere else. I need to continue to raise my lid in my leadership, in my training, in my ability to help them grow their business. And if
Mhm.
I can help them get to where they want to go, then I succeed as well. So it's not me, it's the people I surround myself with. And the people I choose to spend the time with are some pretty amazing people. And we've had a
Mhm.
lot of people come through the team that didn't fit our culture, didn't fit our mantra, didn't kind of think the way we think, which is staying humble, learning based, always working for improvement. If that wasn't somebody that fit our model, that was ego driven or was all about them, and that just person kind of pushed out and went away, and you're left with the most genuine group of people that are all there cheerleading each other, helping each other, supporting each other. That's the secret sauce. It's
Okay.
that simple.
Okay. And you are the leader. How much individual work do you do yourself with buyers and sellers? Are you mostly mentoring and handling all your other agents, or are you active in the field yourself at this point?
Yeah, I like to tell a story. A couple of months ago, one of my agents said, "Hey, I want to go on this listing appointment. Would you go with me?" And I thought, well, yeah, let me get back out there. Let me see what I can do. Let me show them that I still got it. We didn't get the listing. So that was a huge success for me. No, I joke. It was a situation that they couldn't sell the house, and so it didn't work out. But for me, I'm not out there competing with the agents on my team. My job is to help them grow and help them get better.
Mhm.
So if I do 3 or 4 transactions a year, that's
Got
probably a
it.
lot. But for the most part, all of our production, everything we do is team related, not me.
You're the team lead. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that Keller Williams is very big on that, that's like a huge thing. A friend of mine in our area is a guy named Kenny Trong who works for EXP, and he has a team of like 430 people. It's insane. And
That's like a brokerage.
yeah, it is a brokerage. Yeah, and so at
How
a
many
certain
people at your Compass office?
my Compass office probably has about 400 people.
What's the size of your entire office? Got it.
Yeah, and my particular group of people, I have two listing coordinators, I have an operations manager, I have a transaction coordinator, and I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines, and I have marketing. I'm very blessed because real estate's pretty much a meritocracy because of the amount of business that I do. Compass assigned marketing people just specifically to me, so I have my own little in-house marketing advertising company essentially. I feel like being smaller allows you to be a little bit more nimble out in the world in a funny way. Like we can make decisions on the fly together. We have meetings 3 times a week, go over everything. Both of my listing coordinators are also everybody's licensed who works for me. And so they can do their own business or I can refer them business, but I'm not overseeing what they're doing per se. That's how I sort of roll because it just makes it easier for me. I'm always very interested when people like you have a big team that you're managing because it's a lot of work. It really is. And I've seen a lot of I've
That's a mindset. That's a
yeah.
mindset that you have, that you think bigger is more complicated. And the
Mhm.
truth is, when you're building your systems and you're building your team, it doesn't have to be more complicated. It doesn't have to be more difficult. It depends on who you surround yourself with. So
Mhm.
you are right in the heart of most entrepreneurs, which is, I got to throw it on my back and I got to get out there and I need to do it and it needs to be me, me, me. And it's what's created your success. It's also held you back a little bit in your ceiling because you're not using leverage with the people around you to build bigger and bigger and bigger. So like,
Right.
if you think of, Elon Musk, love him or hate him, it doesn't matter.
Hate him.
Doesn't matter, but we can all argue, or we can all agree that he has done some things that have changed the entire world.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And there are amazing people at Tesla and amazing people at SpaceX and all these other companies that he owns, where he could not possibly do it all himself. And I think the struggle and the reason people, vilify him or whatever their belief is, 10% of what he does is absolutely incredible and has made some major changes in our whole world with Starlink and everything else. But the problem is the other 90% of him might not be right for the rest of the world. And if we focus and study and learn from his 10% and what he's done is really, really well, incredible opportunity to learn. If we pay attention to the other 90%, that is not your model for that. So there is somebody who's amazing at health and nutrition, and that's somebody to follow. They might not be a great person in their marriage. So you might not want a marriage advice for them. You might want to look for somebody else who's been happily married for 48 years, but that person might not have built a big business, and you look to somebody else. So I think that when we look at the greatest people that have developed amazing things, we tend to look at all of them when really we should just study the part that they did that's great.
It's really true. It's really true. It's like Vincent van Gogh. Terrible person, horrible person.
Yes.
I'm sorry he committed suicide and everything, but from every single, person that has, on record about Vincent van Gogh, he was rude, he was an asshole, and yet he made some of the most beautiful paintings in the history of the world. And so I understand what you're talking about. A friend of mine is a coach. She lives in Portugal. Her name is Tara Nicole Kirk. And you may have heard of her. She'll be like the next Oprah at some point in her life. And she always says, eat the meat and leave the bones.
Perfect.
That's her phrase for that.
And, Portugal is a really interesting place in terms of their real estate growth. I had the pleasure of being hired and flying out to Portugal with my entire family, which was exceptionally. They hired me to come out and speak at an event, and they allowed me to bring my entire family and gave me 2 weeks of traveling the country and put me up, and the country is absolutely amazing. But what I love the most is the people and what they're trying to do. So they looked at the American market and how we run our real estate practice, and they're trying to recreate that in Portugal, even though it's done a little bit differently there. And there's not exclusive listings. You could have 5 agents that all have the listing, but what they're trying to build there, they're trying to take what's really good about what we do in the US and ignore all the stuff that we don't do very well. And that's how we should be looking at everything.
Yeah. So you got sent out to Portugal to talk. Was that through Keller Williams? Do you do a lot of speaking engagements? How does that work for you?
I do. I've spoken to somewhere in the neighborhood of 250,000, whether it's agents, title reps, or lenders. I definitely spoke a lot more before I had so many kids running around. And then once the kids showed up, I realized that my passion is really being here and being around and coaching and, being here for dinners and stuff like that. So I've cut back some, but I'll probably still take 10 or 12 speaking engagements a year, where at one point I was doing 30 or 40 and traveling around the world. It was amazing, but being at home.
How did you get into that, out of curiosity?
I was approached. So, not to go into too much detail, but I got approached to do a TV show. So I had a TV show called Waterfront House Hunting, and that had me fly all over the country. I was the host of the show, and I would help people in all these different states buy waterfront property. Spoiler alert, everything on TV is fake, so none of it's real, but it's all appeared to be real.
My friend was the casting director, so for that one, Are You Smarter Than a Third Grader, or something like that?
Yes.
And I was so horrified when I found out that all those little kids were little actors. Not one of them was real.
Yes, exactly. But it's entertaining, so people watch it, and they need to keep production costs low, but also make it entertaining. Anyway, so I did that, and I was traveling around the country doing that. So while I was there, I got picked up from a title company who said, hey, would you do a couple of speaking events for me? So I did that while I was traveling, and then word got out to some lenders. So then I started traveling around and helping lenders and how they communicate and connect with agents. And then from that, the real estate stuff is pretty easy. That's what I do. That's my main job. So teaching other teams and agents to build and grow their real estate practice,
Easy
that
peasy for
just
you.
becomes super normal.
So before you did real estate, what did you do? What was your
Bef-
focus?
Before I did real estate, so in college, I ran a seasonal photography business where we sold $5 keychains with a little picture inside of it on the beaches of Ocean City, Maryland. At $5 a piece in a 3-month period, we were selling about 1.2 million in sales. So
Jeez.
an incredible amount of sales in a very short compact man. But what I learned is I hear no, 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 yes, no, 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 yes, no, no, no. And if
Yeah.
you can put your kids or somebody you care about in a position to hear no so often they become numb to it, it will
hmm
go on to help them in any other aspect of their world.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I come from a background of running theater companies, and I'm a producer, director, and playwright. And so of course I'm very inured to, auditions and interviews for jobs. And you have to learn how I think it's one of my superpowers in listing appointments that I really could care less because I have been through the mill as far as getting rejected. It doesn't hurt me personally. I know
Yep.
how to move past that. I've actually written a book called Realizations about how to be a realtor and utilize skills learned from acting and theater. So
Interesting.
that'll be coming out
Interesting.
pretty soon. And I just wanted to say thank you very, very much for being here today. It's wonderful to make the connection. If people want to get a hold of you and your team and work with you in that area, and you serve Baltimore as well as
The whole state of Maryland. So we do
okay,
everything in the state of Maryland. So anything coming this way. You can find me on Instagram at Nick Waldner. Same thing if you Google Nick Waldner, Waldner, my stuff will pop up everywhere. So it's
that's
real
awesome.
easy. WaldnerWintersTeam.com is our site.
WaldnerWintersTeam.com. Well, thank you
Yep.
so much, Nick. You are really a terrific guest, and I'd love to have you back someday. Thank you so
Okay,
very much.
awesome. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Okay, take good care. Enjoy the soccer game.
If you loved hearing from these incredible voices shaping real estate, you'll want to catch what's next. Click the video on screen to keep discovering more inspiring stories.